This is part 1 of a 2-part review of Assassin's Creed Shadows. The reason I structured it this way is because originally I thought this was gonna be another generic Ubisoft Assassin's Creed game, where I won't have a lot to talk about regarding innovation, and it will all fit into a neat, mediocre 10-minute package like the previous titles. Oh boy, was I in for a shock of a decade. Assassin's Creed Shadows might be the single greatest looking AC game to date. That's what this part of the review will focus on. In today's video, we'll be discussing everything but the story, missions, and its characters because A, I still haven't finished it, and rushing through it for the sake of pumping out a video just seemed like a stupid way to go about it. So next video we'll be discussing the story and the characters, but today we'll be discussing the performance of the game, the open world and its activities, as well as gameplay changes, new mechanics, and many, many more. This is Assassin's Creed Shadows, a visual masterpiece. Let's start with the performance. I tested Shadows on 2 devices. One was my main rig I use for all my other reviews, and the Steam Deck since Ubisoft proudly said that they didn't expect it to be verified from the get-go, so I wanted to see if they just threw it out hoping us Steam Deck users would be satisfied with 10 to 15 FPS at best, or if it really was optimized like they said it was. Let's start with the PC performance first. I played on an RTX 3060 GPU, Ryzen 5 3600 CPU, and 16 gigs of RAM at 1080p. I ran a benchmark on all graphical presets from low to very high, all at 1080p, and let's just say this game was definitely pushing the limits of my machine. All the gameplay was done at medium graphical presets and kept a stable 40 to 50 FPS, while occasionally dipping into the 30s, but rarely if ever below 30 FPS. The Steam Deck, however, genuinely surprised me. Graphics are all set to the lowest possible setting, but the game keeps a consistent 30 FPS with slight dips into the 28 FPS while the map is still loading. Ubisoft really wasn't bullshitting when they said they optimized the game so that it works as intended on the Steam Deck. I cannot believe this might be Ubisoft's first win after a while. In terms of bugs or issues, I also encountered little to no bugs or glitches. Yes, there was an occasional assassination target that magically woke up from the dead, but that was honestly more funny than game-breaking, if anything. The footage was both with and without the day 1 patch, and aside from fixing the photo mode crash, which I personally hadn't experienced, I didn't see any significant changes. With that said, let's move on to the open world. The statement I said in the beginning of the video, I was not exaggerating at all. This game might be the best looking AC title to date. And you're probably saying, no duh, it's the newest game, of course it's gonna look the greatest. Well, I don't know about that since Valhalla and Mirage looked pretty damn similar when Mirage came out. I think visually this is on a whole new level, to the point I often found myself just walking around the forest taking in the beautiful scenery, be it in spring, summer, autumn, or winter, in my 40 hours of gameplay. All the seasons look visually stunning. The way the wind blows the leaves around during the autumn, or the way storms look, and the snow, my god, the snow looks gorgeous. Entering more populated areas like towns or bigger cities like Kyoto, it feels lively. Not Paris from Unity level lively, but I think it looks good nonetheless. The temples in the forests feel quiet, sublime, like they're cut from the goings-on of the outside world, to the point I found myself just casually walking and admiring the buildings, along with the beautiful decorations around them. See, Shadows managed to do something no recent AC game did for me. That is, immerse me into its world and culture surrounding it. It made me respect the in-game world, where I walked around temples and shrines because I didn't want to disturb the calm that was surrounding it. Ubisoft really created a feel for the game I haven't seen them create in a very long time. But let's talk about the open world as more than just eye candy and pretty colors. What does it offer? The map itself is quite large and split into regions that are level-based. I think they struck a perfect balance in size of the map and stuff to do on the map. Where Valhalla had a huge map filled with valuables and, in my opinion, too few camps to raid, Shadows has a smaller map, but it feels way more content packed. You have viewpoints, temples, shrines, meditation spots, castles, and much more, all spread evenly across the map so that no area feels emptier than the rest. Some areas on the map are level gated in a sense that you can go visit them, but if you're 10 levels below, you will do literally no damage and will get pummeled in a matter of seconds in open combat. Unless you know one simple trick, but I will talk about that when we get to the stealth portion of the video. As for things to do, this is a great segue into how leveling up and skill points work in this game, as they go hand in hand with the activities in the world. Shadows sort of reimagined, so to say, skill unlocks from their previous games. Where previously all you needed was enough skill points to unlock abilities, now they introduced something called knowledge points. Up to level 3 you need 10 to progress and open new abilities to unlock. From level 4 you'll need 15. Skills are also divided into these categories for Naoe and these categories for Yasuke. But back to knowledge points. How do you earn those? That's where open world activities come into play. Most activities can be done by both Yasuke and Naoe, but they do have character-specific activities. Naoe has the practice of Kujikiri, a form of meditation where we get more backstory on her life before the events of the campaign, and the hidden trails, which are parkour obstacle courses which are really fun to do. Yasuke has horseback archery where you need to shoot lamps while a horse is moving forward, and the kata, where you follow prompts on the screen for Yasuke to use his weapon. Other ways of getting knowledge points, which are mostly universal for both characters, are finding missing pages around the temple and blessing shrines. What about the rest of the open world? You can occasionally stumble onto random encounters in the open world or run into Ronins who will attack you on sight and drop decent loot when killed. Viewpoints also made a return as they do in every AC game, only this time it unlocks just the fast travel to that point and points of interest that you still need to explore yourself to find out what they are. Which I think is a great change given that everyone was sick and tired of just following quest markers around the map, having the entire region visible with the viewpoint synchronization. This game encourages exploration, which is the reason why me and most likely a majority of the players are not that far in the story yet, but we've explored quite a good chunk of the map. It all ties back to the feel the game has. I very much feel the need to explore it and see everything it has to offer. Best part is they introduced guided exploration for those who don't feel like exploring every nook and cranny or using the new scout system, and unguided for us who like to not be told directly where to go. Some other activities include looting castles, which can be done stealthily as Naoe or loud and badass as Yasuke. If you piss enough people off or the alarm in the castle gets raised, you will become wanted in that region and guardians will come after you until the season changes. I only managed to do that with Yasuke because I went all out and slaughtered the entire castle, so I'd say castles are more Naoe's thing. If you want something a bit more peaceful, you can stumble onto animals to paint which can later be used in your settlement, and this activity, while I like it, is a bit underwhelming since we don't really do anything. We just look at the character draw, and I think it would have been more fun if we as the player had to follow patterns with the thumbstick and the character draws as we do it. New thing they introduced is this free wannabe battle pass with this game, and I don't know how to feel about that one. Like, as long as it's free, I won't complain, but I'm scared Ubi might try to pull a sneaky one by us and make us pay for the next one. Nonetheless, you progress through it by completing weekly missions and the loot you get from it is decent. I can't complain, it looks cool. You can also unlock something called keys, which then let you purchase items you normally need Helix credits for, which are the paid currency you buy with real money. Valhalla did the same thing with opals, only here I feel like you actually can't get enough for the next weekly or daily item rotation in the shop. But since this is an RPG-esque game, let's talk about the loot you can find. Loot has been reverted back to what it was back in Odyssey. Where in Valhalla you had particular sets of armor you'd find in chests, Shadows went back to the RPG system where you're not showered in loot, but you sure as hell get a lot of it. If you're coming from Odyssey, this will be very familiar to you with stats, bonuses, and engravings. If you're coming from AC Mirage or AC Valhalla, it might seem a bit overwhelming. You have your standard common, uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary items like in every RPG, with some higher rarity items having certain stats boosted, so keep an eye out for those. New feature I absolutely fell in love with is the customization of weapons and armor. You can literally edit every part of your weapon and mix and match to make it your own, while retaining the stats of the weapon you decide to customize. Yes, I am aware some previous titles let you change appearance as well, but in Valhalla you had to go to the blacksmith, and in Odyssey I don't remember being able to edit each individual part of my weapon. Awesome feature in my opinion. If you need to upgrade your desired gear, you can always do so at your settlement. That's right, settlement building is back from Valhalla. Just 10 times better because you can decide where each building is placed Fallout 4 style. I personally didn't spend much time in it, but I've seen people invest insane amounts of time decorating their settlements. This game really has a little something for everyone. Now, the bread and butter of the Assassin's Creed franchise, parkour and stealth. Has it improved? Let's start with parkour first. Parkour has finally improved in my opinion. Now it feels light on her feet and the parkour feels very nice and fluid. Yes, you can do stunts and flips, but from my experience she rarely does them while performing jumps from building to building, but usually uses them as a descent method if the ledge isn't too high. The reason I enjoy parkour in this game is because, like I said, Naoe feels light on her feet, where Mirage felt like Basim was carrying bags of sands with him. A street thief like him, he should have been light and all his jumps felt like he weighed 1,000 pounds. Running and jumping with Naoe, you feel like a shinobi. You feel like she really does land silently and doesn't make noise. While they did address the whole how is he climbing on flat walls, what is he grabbing issue back in Mirage, here Naoe also can't climb mountains freely. She has to look for nooks to use as a grip, but climbing mountains does feel a bit clunky with her not knowing where to grab and just ends up sliding a lot or falling. Stealth also feels way more dynamic and improved. Now mind you, you're seeing me play on normal difficulty and that's why it seems like AI can't see what's in front of them or has no peripheral vision. But if you crank it up to expert, trust me, you will be sticking to the shadows and going prone any chance you get because these people have eagle eye vision with how well they can see you, like a normal guard should have. Regarding stealth kills, you can do normal RPG route of upgrading your skill tree to the point where you can assassinate everyone, or turn on guaranteed assassinations if you want the old school Assassin's Creed feel. I personally use the guaranteed assassinations, but immersion wise, I think turning it off would be the way to go. But again, it's a matter of personal preference. This game finally lets us go prone, and there are actual purposes to that. It's not just a fancy new gimmick. You can go under buildings or hide in shorter grass, which is pretty neat. If there's a pond, you can hide underwater, and now it will pull out a little bamboo straw so she can hide in the pond as long as you need. You can also grab targets and pull them towards a hiding spot to assassinate them out of view or knock them out if you don't want to kill them. Again, a very neat mechanic as castles are filled with not just guards, but also servants who can be killed, but knocking them out seems more fair since they are mostly unarmed. But you will inevitably get spotted, which means time to talk about the combat. Naoe and Yasuke have very different fighting styles and stats regarding combat. Naoe is very squishy and can easily get overwhelmed if more enemies surround her. If those are by chance samurai, she doesn't stand much of a chance. That's why her sticking to the shadows is the best way to play her. That doesn't mean she's completely defenseless. Naoe can use her katana, tanto, or kusarigama to defend herself, and watching her fight, I gotta say, it's a big step up in terms of animations compared to previous games. It is still a bit button mashy in my opinion, but it looks cool. They introduced a new enemy attack besides just parryable attacks and heavy attacks. Now enemies will pull a chain of attacks marked with a blue dot, meaning they will swing multiple times back to back, and you have to parry each attack or duck out of the way. Here Yasuke finally gets to shine given that stealth and parkour aren't really his strengths. Smashing through hordes of enemies is. Yasuke is a tank and can take significantly more damage than Naoe. He can also dish out more damage with his long katana, naginata, or kanabu. He also has ranged weapons like the bow and the teppo. I will admit I spent drastically more time with Naoe than I did with Yasuke since I like stealth and Yasuke is literally the opposite of subtle. But in that time playing him, I finally understood how Darth Vader felt mowing down rebel scum at the end of Rogue One. Playing Yasuke, you really feel like a menace compared to the standard soldiers attacking you. His abilities and sheer size make him a force to be reckoned with and truly shows his strength underneath all that armor. After playing him more, I gotta admit he's kinda grown on me and I'm getting more and more interested in his playstyle.
I was wondering what sort of person leaves good sake out in the open.
Only a fool that's forgotten the cups. Tomiko gave me that bottle. We should celebrate.
And that's a wrap. Like I said, I tried covering everything but the story since that's for the next video. As for everything else, I think Ubisoft actually decided to, get this, put in effort with this one, and it shows. From no major bugs at launch to filling the game with actual content and not just filler, I think this could be the start of Ubisoft's redemption arc. If not, it will be their new peak from which they will spectacularly fall and will get a new game to make fun of. But regarding Shadows, I enjoyed it. And I think it sets a new bar in terms of open world, visuals, stealth, parkour, and combat. Is it worth just on those merits alone? I would say it is, but like many said, wait a few months for it to go 30% off and get it then if you don't want to spend 70 euros on it. That's been it for me. See you in part 2 and stay safe out there, folks.